will die and become a spectral knight whose the interior of their rib cage is filled with this blackish reddish fire, uh, and they will obviously have to be put down. So, like I said, this has happened 3 times in the interim. So it's kind of it's not being fenced off or anything, because that's not really an open area for people to go wandering. But the guards do tend to keep people off of there, and anybody who's in, say, the aerial corps, if they see anybody walking along that stretch of the mountain, they will kind of buzz them to keep them out of that area. Because even if it's, they don't want to see this happen a 3rd time, or a 4th time, I should say. So I have names of what's that?
So sorry, why would people be walking up there besides the watch?
Well,
it is one of the places you can have a business conference and not be heard by anybody who isn't using magic.
So kind of like City of the Dead.
Yeah, and the other thing is, got to remember, there are little paths up those steep slopes with little park benches and switchbacks and so on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You don't want to be on it during when the mist and the fog are clinging and everything's wet and slippery, and you don't want to be in there anytime in winter. But if the city is in a horrible fog, a smog, where everybody's stenches and sweat and everything in the summertime, it can be great to get up there. They just rise above it.
Right.
Yeah. Did they ever do a remap of the? Because didn't they temporarily have a mountainside ward or something like that? I know I worked that into that 2nd novel, but I don't think they ever redid the maps to reflect any of that.
No, and all of that bit is gone. It's Undercliff that survived.
Okay.
And they got rid of Mistshore as well. All the boats in the harbor, the slum. Yeah. So yeah, that's all gone again.
Yeah.
So Mountainside, you talk about Mountainside, the district that used to be in Waterdeep.
Yeah. Yeah, that used to be up along the mountain edges.
Yeah, the eastern and southeastern slope of Mount Waterdeep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, most of that is gone now. Because you see, here's the thing. It was militarily far too close to the Griffin, the flight deck for the Griffin Watch.
Right.
Mount Waterdeep is honeycombed. In fact, it goes right down, of course, to Undermountain. There was a citadel, the Citadel of the Black Hand, where a particular unsavory group of thieves was in there. So yeah, it became not such a good idea in their minds to have the general public right there on the doorstep.
Plus, you don't really, if you've got your palace with all your important people in there, you don't really want to give people the chance to be above that.
No.
To drop in.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. Or just throw something. It's like in the old Milwaukee era Gen Cons when you were in a cell block Hyatt. And you could drop ice cubes or whatever from the hotel rooms down into the lobby, and they would land with shattering force below on the heads. And that, you just avoid giving the public chances to do stuff like that.
Because they will.
Because they will, yes. Humans will be humans. It's the terrible thing about being humans. They will be humans.
We will live down to this, damn it.
Yes.
They will disappoint you when they can.
Yep.
That's what we do here. Okay, let's inflict another. I mean, let's. Okay. So here we go with a rare haunting, as in it appears 2 or 3 times a year on random dates. But unusually, it's always seen during daylight. And it is the Black Flame Rider. A human-shaped burning mass of black flames tinged with crimson tongues at its outer edges that rides, seemingly without scorching its saddle or its mount, a headless chimera. So imagine a chimera that's, loping along lion-like with its three necks are endlessly writhing and curling without any heads at the end of them.
Ew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Along the streets of Waterdeep. The route that this frightening but insubstantial apparition takes is random, but always long, and always originating at the south end of walled Waterdeep and heading north, with lots of side jaunts zigging and zagging. So it will quite often not be going due north. It'll be everywhere. Eventually fading away. It passes harmlessly through creatures and items in its path, but the unidentifiable rider, whose flames are illusory and ignite or harm nothing, wields a long drover's whip. So a 60-foot long whip crack length of oiled and braided leather. These are real things. If you've ever seen all those old Western movies,
right,
and you wondered how the guy up on top of the stagecoach could affect the horse at the beginning of the team.
three sets of horses. Yeah.
So he would have this huge long whip on his shoulder, coiled on his shoulder, and he'd just do this, and the thing would go way out, and if you were used to it, you could land its tip where you wanted to. So this thing is a 60-foot long whip crack length of oiled and braided leather, and this rider, who is just like an outline of black flames, like can wield it with precision. Every strike of this weapon affects the living like a chill touch spell. A chill touch spell doing 2d8 damage. The target can't regain hit points for 1 minute. And it hits hard as if the whip was solid. But the whip can't be grasped or severed. Attempts to do so encountering a whip that seems an insubstantial phantom. So he can lash you, and you turn around with your sword and hack at his whip, and your sword goes right through it, like it's smoke. This haunt is thought to originate in a distraction sent by the Lord of Bones, the necromancer Shradin Mulufor of Skullport, to aid the masked Lord Kerrigan in 1246 DR by distracting a Garen with a magic-wielding foe. And the rider may well be an echo of a favored fighting form of the Lord of Bones himself.
Oh, because he's dead too.
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
So there you go.
Wow, I like that.
I got one left after that. So, but it's back to you, Steven.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think where to put one. I'm looking at notes here. As loath as I am to kill, well, yes, I will kill one of my favorite characters, but
you already did that.
I will keep him active. Yes, I know I did. So,
don't remind the poor man.
Down in the Warrens, beneath Castle Ward and Dock Ward and that sort, where the halflings and gnomes and dwarves tend to congregate more than further, up on the street surfaces. The former high priest of Baravar Cloakshadow, Umpar Derg. Wow, I'm blanking on his name, and I wrote it down. Where did I put it? Umpar Dergek.
Well, there's a Garon in case you're all questioning, though.
That's not a Garon. That looks like some Greyhawk guy.
Good God.
They're
not
also, with their pointy little eyebrows and shaved heads. No. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
He said
help myself.
hastily.
Anyway,
dear.
so Umpar, who was quite ancient for a gnome back in the 1460s when I wrote Blackstaff Tower. Exactly when he passes away, I haven't determined. But his spirit still walks the warrens, still exceedingly deaf, still irascible, still muttering to himself, and still very gleefully wanting to be a prankster. It's unclear for anybody that comes across this aged, stooping gnome. You don't realize he's immaterial until you try to help him and your hand passes through him. But he will talk. How much sense he makes is up to the listener. However, if somebody is down there and doing something truly underhanded or, seeking to harm any one of the population, that shade may shift from looking like a harmless little, almost bent double ancient gnome, and it will shift in an instant to being wrapped in shadow, and you will find yourself facing, for lack of a better explanation, this is an avatar of Baravar Cloakshadow. Whatever this person is up to, they will live to regret it. It could be they will end up wrapped permanently in illusions or in hallucinations, or they could merely end up with their throat slit by shadow stuff. Who knows? But Umpar still walks all over the warrens and will purposely or accidentally mispronounce what he thinks he's heard you say. And again, just like I wrote him in Blackstaff Tower, he's sharper than he lets on. He lets people underestimate him. You can do that when you're past 100. You've long since stopped caring.
That's true.
But anybody who wants to learn more about him, well, Umpar did end up writing, I think it was a total of 38 rather weighty journals encompassing his entire lifetime. Sometimes there's brilliant stuff in there that has to do with the worship of Baravar. Sometimes it's 17 pages on the proper way to prepare quail's eggs for breakfast. And his, even as he wanders in undeath, and you never know when you're going to encounter him, but he could be anywhere, he could be everywhere, but he's never been spotted outside of the Warrens since the beginning of the 15th century. I'm sorry, beginning of the 16th century. Which century 16th. Are they in now? I'm not even sure.
Well, they're in the 1500s, so the 16th century.
Yeah, okay. So have they officially done that? It's now D&D's 50th, so...
No, at the moment, 1500? The last I saw, it was 1499.
Ah, okay. So they're saving that for whatever the next edition is.
Well, either that or, this Vecna thing.
The what?
The Vecna thing that is...
let us not speak of it.
We're crossing the streams now.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait,
yes.
is he the keymaster or the gatekeeper? I'm not
sure. Okay.
Many slurs met their death on the plains that day, I can tell you.
Oh dear, you guys
Those slurs learned to what it was to burn in the depths of
Okay. I better rescue this before we with my last.
This is all being trimmed away by Jeff, right?
No,
Right?
sure. I'm just going to post it as is. Are you kidding?
No, don't.
Okay, so last of my hauntings for now, for night.
Okay.
For tonight. One of the odder sights that one may see in the deep is a spectral spellbook that flies along the streets of Seaward, open, its pages turning and fading away into nothingness as they do, but slowly, as if someone unseen is reading each page ere it vaporizes. This is all that remains of Dantressa Tarlmentar. So Dantressa, Dantressa Tarlmentar. So Tarlmantar, Tarlmentar. Of the Watchful Order, a rather quiet and stern wizard of, quote, some standing. Elminster recalls her as being about 14th or 15th level. She sought to escape death from hostile magics hurled by the infamous mage Merrill, he of the Dragon Tower, in a street fight in Seaward on a hot summer night in 1360 DR by going into her spellbook. Her hope was that Merrill would want to seize and peruse the tome and so wouldn't destroy her. But Merrill had magically foreseen its contents and already owned copies of every spell in it, so he happily blasted the spellbook and Dantressa to oblivion, or rather, into a nothingness that in the chaos of the spell plague's arrival in 1385 DR became an apparition still seen every few months, almost always at night, in Waterdeep today. The tome cruises seaward, seemingly at random, but always keeping to streets and alleys, not private grounds, and it lasts for 2 bells, 2 hours, or so, until its last page fades away. The spellbook is readable by someone who can fly alongside it and read swiftly enough, and its pages glow with a faint blue-white radiance. The few who've tried this and admit to doing so were all startled to have a voice, presumably Dantressa, speak urgently in their minds, trying to share as many secrets about her scrolls, spell workbooks, enchanted items, and the Watchful Order secrets she bore as she can for as long as they'll listen. This is quite distracting to someone seeking to read the spells on the pages of the spellbook. Its vanishing pages always reappear at the book's next appearance. But what's said is true and can guide the living of today to the magic Dantressa left behind, if someone else hasn't gotten there first. Oh no. So there you go.
That sounded painful.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So there you go. We have hauntings galore.
Yeah.
So make sure Ed and Stephen both make sure you email me that stuff.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
We exist but to serve. Let's see.
I've got to finish after that. I'm not going to try and follow up. I had a ghost book as well, but I'll finish it and send that on, and we'll post it somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but
okay.
I'm just trying to think if there's any wards that we haven't touched on, so we have a ghost.
Well, Down Shadow.
Wait, how does Down Shadow separate from the Warrens?
The Warrens are half height and underneath one ward. Down Shadow is actually a part of Undermountain, and it's abandoned again. But I mean, it is still
okay.
Okay, so here we go. Jeff, you are going to receive
money.
Well, eventually, you have a job in which people have to pay. Yeah. Your youth will return. Lucky Sharon. No.
Maybe you should have Sharon's youth return. We don't want to
Yeah.
hurt the old lady.
Whoa. Oh dear. Okay.
What's this we're hearing about youth in Florida? What about the youth in our own country?
Yeah.
Hey, own country.
Yeah. Well, Florida is a different country. Florida man is right. Okay, so are you gonna like put this up at the page for the show and stuff like that?
Yeah, maybe so. I was that or
Okay.
on the fan site, the fan page.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, there you go. Hauntings of Waterdeep. Incoming file that will land in your lap, and it's all, beautifully written and, in business English. There you go. Tiddly palm. Done.
Okay.
It should appear in your inbox momentarily by the magic of modern technology.
And there it is.
Did I get a copy of that too?
Yes,
or
you
no?
did. Yes, you did.
Okay, goody.
Yep. Oh yeah. You and Eric and George, I can hide nothing.
You can hide nothing. That's right.
Even when we wish you would.
As you can see, folks, we're old friends, and and at least that's what we tell our wives. No,
that's right.
See, you'll never know what Ed is like until you experience him in his true self, making breakfast.
Oh yes. Yes. Well,
yes,
let us draw the veil of decency over that breakfast.
I thought it was a mohair jacket. Apparently,
yeah, something like that. Yeah. Let's just say
I didn't know they made Nehru jackets out of mohair, but there it is.
Oh dear.
Decency. What?
Yeah. You didn't know we had those things, did you?
Hey, how about that?
It's the first I've heard of it.
But yeah, it's I mean, honestly, we could keep going forever, and we could probably come up with a ghost for every city wall or gate. There's probably scads.
I think we could.
Of them. And but yeah, there's going to be overlap. I mean, it's like any city you go to in Europe, or heck, even in America or Canada, I'm sure you can find ghost walks with so many stories, and we could, it would be a lot of fun to come up with more ghost walkers to take you through the city and point out more, but it would take an hour and a half just to go through, past 5 doors in Dockward.
Yeah.
And not have something to talk about there. So
see, that's what's the amazing part, is it isn't just, oh, let's go over to this section. That's where the ghost walk is, and there's a couple of, stories. It's every section or every few streets, it seems like.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Waterdeep has been there for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, Mert's Mansion is, no, it's not Mert's. The Yawning Portal is on top of Halaster's Tower ruins, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's stuff that's never been discussed about the cellars of the Yawning Portal, and there's probably more magic there that's kept Durnan alive despite his best efforts.
Right.
That's in there, or that does other things to protect the city from what's down that shaft. Because honestly, in some ways, that shaft should just be an open cannon into the city, but it's not. So
shooting out ghosts and crap.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the more you think about it, it's like that. Let's not think too deep about it. But so there's got to be more to it than we've said. Right. And it could just be that it's best to leave it unsaid because there's just too many. There's too many people that will want to try to min-max it from a rules standpoint. And honestly, that's like I said at the start of this. The reason I stopped writing these ghost articles is because they wanted to turn them into combat encounters, and that's
Yeah,
not.
they wanted stat blocks for all the.
Yeah, that's not interesting to me. That's not
No.
interesting to probably, well, at least a half of the fans that come and looking for all these stories and histories. And I would love to get beyond Waterdeep and talk about the ghosts of the Stump Bog or the Evermoors
I think
or
we should. I think
Neverwinter
we should.
or Longsaddle.
There's so many shows in this about things to talk
Yeah.
about and to get your mind churning and but getting these different. We could do Neverwinter, we could do Baldur's Gate, we could do the Shadowdale, we could do
Sure.
the Var the Golden. It doesn't really matter.
Imagine the ghost tied to the Uthgard tribes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Do
Yeah.
they worship gods, or are they just very powerful ghosts? Or are
Right.
there
They would
are there
protect
god
their
ghosts?
They would protect their ancestral mounds for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they would. So that area would be highly filled. I mean, filled with so many ghosts and
Hmm.
and wards or whatever, but mostly ghosts. But
And
yeah,
they're
that's
not all going to be as polite as those guys they were questioning in the D&D movie.
no, no, probably not.
Do I your favorite book? Do I have to pick just one?
Do I have to put just one?
Yeah, in fact, I still have to write that fully up for Jeff and talk to you
Yes,
about that, the Fang Tome,
that's
Mhm.
right.
which, despite everybody talking about it, no, it's not a magical book. It's an old book. It actually probably predates Myth Draenor, or at least the open Myth Draenor.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We could indeed do a series on ghosts, and then if people desperately wanted to do adventures, well, somebody could get together and write up adventures on their own for the DM's Guild.
Who could that
mhm.
be?
You know, well, I name no names, Jeff. I merely say, as I said earlier, humans will be humans. They will do the things you don't want them to do. It
That's
is
right.
part of it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. If when we're talking about not wanting to do adventures, if you do want to do adventures
Mhm.
and are inspired by our blatherings here, by all means do adventures. That's cool. We'll play
Yeah.
them.
Right. That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
And we'll make all this available to everybody too. So
Yeah.
well, and then there are some places that we've got written down in lore. Leston's Alley is,
Hmm.
where did we put that in the city? That's Leston's Court. That's I did that. That was the fourth article I wrote. But there's another place that's it's an alley that's haunted by the spirits of 5 shadow thieves. And if I remember correctly, again, this was 30 years ago when we wrote it for the box set. There are 2 or 3 noble families that more or less dispose of problematic people by steering them into that alley, and those bodies will never be found again.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's not nice. It's very brutal, but yeah, it's there's tons of places like that, and then there's I was flipping through an old book of ghost stories of Scotland, and it's I one of the ones that stuck with me was the bloodied stones of Kerrigan's Keep, where people were brought in for a dinner and then
Yep.
locked in, and I can't remember how they got. I guess one person survived, and they all the floor flagstones of the floor were started rising with skeletal hands that were then throwing the stones at the diners until all of them were dead, and they were pulled underneath the flagstones. So, so you could easily do ghosts and hauntings that have combat effects.
Right.
The problem is setting them up for combat is what's gonna have a bigger impact, the haunting and the story, or the spells?
Yeah. Well, see, to me, that's the thing about the stories is they're supposed to scare you. They're supposed to make you think. They're not designed as, oh, there's a ghost here, let's go kill it. It may be just a ghost that you can't kill, like the ones y'all are talking about. I like the idea of this spectral black flamed guy riding a headless chimera with a 60-foot whip. That's awesome. I mean, things like that. You're not there to eradicate the ghost. It's there to give flavor to a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I see this for me.
And I'm trying to remember, are all of the members of the Company of Crazed Venturers, are they still around, or are they passed on?
Oh, a few of them still are, because Trullian Regalis went off to Evermeet with an elf bride, and
okay.
I'm sure she doesn't want to lose him prematurely because he happens to be human.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to try and keep him alive.
See, I just remember that great story of, they wanted to be teleported into the end of the Dripping Dagger. And,
into the bar.
Yeah. Does the bar randomly explode from haunting sort of things every now and again?
Yeah, they shattered the bar by teleporting into it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had so much fun with that stuff.
So are you going to find ghosts in areas that are heavily inhabited by that were heavily inhabited by like Elminster, let's say Shadowdale? Are there going to be active ghosts in that area, or will they not be there because of the fact that Elminster lived there and he would eradicate or?
You mean the tower itself,
or the tower, or just in the area? Nothing more than the occasional ghost that wanders in the field. But would you have any ghosts that kind of like the ones here you're giving me in Waterdeep? Would you have those in Shadowdale, or would it be these bigger cities?
You would have some ghosts, but they're largely the grisly result of dying in a farm accident.
Right.
And you'd have ghosts from the many, many defenses of Shadowdale against the armies of the Zentrim.
Right.
And they would tend to be people who fell in battle, who reproachfully rise in their own fields or their descendants' fields to look at the living like, you're marrying that schmuck. Sort of like dead silent in the middle of the night. They just rise up, that sort of thing.
Did you hear about Sally, who she married? Can't believe it.
Yes.
My seed did that.
If you thought disdain from your living relatives was bad,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah. But I mean, there's no reason to think not, with one exception.
La 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 la.